Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Commissar here, and today I have a 1 vs 1 best of 3 series yet again from DreamHack Winter 2012, as I figure with matches like these, why not just keep casting them until I run out of players that I really want to cast, because we've got some pretty cool matchups over the last few days, all of them actually really top notch, and I just kinda want to cast them because there are no VODs of any of these casts that I've casted available at the moment. In terms of casted VODs, that is. Okay, so today's best of 3 series kicks off on Entombed, and we are going to see Ace and Nerchio, our blue Zerg in the bottom left-hand side of the map, against Liquid TLO, our red Zerg on the top right-hand side of the map. So of course we have a ZvZ today, but I casted a PvP yesterday. I've already cast TVZ, PVZ. I think I've cast almost every matchup now since I've come back in this past week. I'm going to try and get around to them all, and then maybe focus a little bit more on non-mirror matchups, and then, I don't know, I'll just cast whoever I like, really. Because I want to get a good mix of matchups. I don't want to cast PVZ after PVZ, and so forth. But more back to this cast. I will introduce these two players a little bit for you in terms of recent results. Liquid TLO, you'll notice, has spent a lot of time in Korea in the past year. That's where he spent most of his time. It means he's been training for most of the year. As such, hasn't been going into all the major tournaments as much as many of the other players, and his results are fairly limited as a result, and they do not respect his current skill level. Because his skill level at the moment seems to be really high and impressive. He's super creative, he's been coming up with some super cool queen-based builds on the Korean ladder. And I will note 15 hatch versus pull first over here from Nerchio. TLO should be safe from any early aggression you'd suspect with that pull timing out of Nerchio. But yeah, TLO's recent results include the Asus ROG GD Invitational, where he was a semi-finalist, losing 3-1 to Elfie in the semi-finals and taking home $1,000. That was a tournament where he showed impressive results, and in the early stages of the tournament, he in fact beat Elfie, the player who knocked him out in the end. Also, in the One Nation of Gamers I2 StarCraft 2 Invitational, TLO came 4th, losing 3-4 to Sheth. A very small tournament, picking up $275, but nonetheless, pretty close game against Sheth. Kinda shows you where he's at. He also came first in the GD Studio Arena, winning $1,000, and won first in the Heat Charity Tournament early on in the year, winning a bunch of money for charity. Okay, so Nerchio, you'll notice that he did quite well at DreamHack Bucharest, where he came first, beating Bly 3-0 in the finals. He came second in IEM Season 7 Cologne, losing 1-3 to MVP in the finals, and he also came first in Home Story Cup number 5, which was fairly recent, in the 8th month, which is August, which took me a little too long to realize, and yeah. So basically, Nerchio in super good form, probably going to be our favourite for today, and he is going to send in a couple of links here to scout around, not going to try and put any sort of early pressure. That earlier pull is just for safety, and these 4 drones can really kill these 2 lings without too much hassle. Nerchio's just going to look up to pick up 1 drone here, and he is not going to get it, it appears, at this stage, although he's going to come back around again, and he is testing the micro of TLO, who does make an extractor to deal that the queen is now out, and these 2 lings will be able to go on home, knowing that they caused a little bit of trouble without really costing Nerchio anything significant. Nerchio saying outplayed. He's obviously on good terms with TLO, you'd say. These 2 guys seem to be very well mannered, and yeah. That's all I can say. Okay, so, over in the base of Nerchio, we do see his natural is up. It was later than the natural of TLO. And the harvest account is, despite this, dead even at this stage. So no advantages yet to either player, despite the differing pull timings, despite the differing hatchery timings. And you'll notice, TLO, I said he likes queens. I said he's been doing some really creative work with the queens on the Korean ladder, and this is an example of it. In the tournament which he did really well in, the ROG Invitational, where he reached the semi-finals after demolishing his group. So it was kind of disappointing almost that he didn't go on to go to the finals or even win. He did use queens a lot, queen-based pushes, queen roach pushes, and we are again seeing a couple of extra early queens out on the map. Nothing too excessive this game, just 2 queens other than the queens for injects. But that is going to mean a ton of creep, so that is going to mean a ton of extra defensive ability, and you never know, with TLO, he's probably going to do some sort of attack with it. And we do see, I believe, a complete wall off here, as TLO has scouted that Nerchio has been streaming units across the map, and this defense is just really, really solid out of TLO. He's saying, okay, I have overlords in position, I see lings coming to my base, I don't want to make lings in response, I'm just going to make a couple of Evo chambers, cancel and rebuild them, so he doesn't even want to keep this third Evo chamber. Just wants to have a wall up there for the time being, such that he can basically get rid of the ling threat and pull ahead in drones without having to commit to any sort of lings of his own. You'll notice that the drone advantage is not really in TLO's favor yet. What is in his favor is a little bit hard to for me to tell. I'm trying to look for something because I feel like his defense should result in him having some sort of lead, but it appears that the main difference at the moment is the Roach Warren, which I believe Nerchio doesn't actually have anywhere. Yeah, it's just started now, so we had a much earlier Roach Warren. But we do see the lings actually slipping in the end. TLO's wall did indeed get cancelled, and these lings are going to do a little bit of damage, it looks like, but it shouldn't be anything too major. Again, the queen count, very, very helpful for TLO. And oh my god, he's actually setting his roaches away from those lings. Going to take a few drone hits in order to basically focus on his own aggression. And I don't know if this is wise from TLO. Hopefully for his sake, the roach attack will pay off, as if it does not, he has just put himself needlessly behind. He lost a total of 5 workers here. He's now fairly even in workers, actually, 36-38, because of course that wall in it did initially save him from the production of a few lings, so that's why the workers are still quite even. But you'll notice that the front base of Nerchio is being walled up so heavily. Nerchio, of course, with overlords as well, did see what was happening, and he decided, okay, I'm just going to ignore that. Sorry, I'm just going to build spines for that, because I know it'll take a while to get here, and you're going to see the queens. One might go down here. The queens are super high value targets here for TLO to be taking out, and it looks like, despite the queens being pulled as well, that not too much damage will be caused by TLO in this attack. He's going to try and focus on a couple of drones at the end here, and is only going to get a couple, and that will be it. 2 killed in total. And this wall will not be breached by a couple of queens and a few roaches. So it is important to note that TLO is using a couple of overlords to get some creep so that his queens are not too hopelessly slow. It would be quite cool of him to try and pick off some of these overlords with his queens. That would be quite cool, but I don't know if we'll be seeing that or not. Okay, so Harvest is 45-45, so TLO is certainly not stuffed as a result of what just happened. He's slightly ahead of supply overall, and he is going to get his third base up in just a moment over here. As such, TLO is certainly on just about even terms of his opponent, maybe even slightly ahead. And the big difference, I guess, in the next few minutes is just going to be Infestors. And the Infestor count advantage, though, is going to initially at least be in favor of Nerchio. Nerchio, of course, having a faster infestation pit, already having 2 Infestors on the field. Meanwhile, the Infestors for TLO have not started yet. He's just finished his Infestor tech over here. Pathogen Glands is still a little bit of time away. Probably going to get it right about now. Yep, there it goes. And he is indeed supply blocked from losing an Overlord. Okay, so we do indeed see a Nerchio, it appears, trying to be a bit aggressive with his first group of Infestors. To be honest, I don't see it working too well. TLO has Roach Speed, which Nerchio doesn't have yet. It is on the way for Nerchio. But the big thing, I think, for Nerchio is by having earlier Infestors, it's not so much the count that matters, it's the total amount of energy between all of your units that matters. And the total amount of energy in terms of Infestors does happen to be in the favor, quite comfortably that is, of Nerchio. Nerchio is going to drop 2 Infested Terrans to kill an Overlord here, a play that has become super common as Zergs have realized that 2 Infested Terrans is all it takes, and 50 energy, 50 free stuff for an Overlord is always a good trade, and TLO is going to be careful here. Oh no, gets all of his units caught in Fungal, does get 2 Infestors right off the bat, but he has no Infestor support of his own here, and he is probably going to be crushed in this battle. He does have a good concave, but it does not matter as Nerchio is up and close and personal, so it does not matter at all. And TLO just getting really unlucky. Could have kept a better eye on his roaches, sure, but he is now in a bit of a tight spot here. Gonna probably try to hold these rams with fungals, but he is not in position to actually defend this third base, and a cancel is likely to be forced here, and that is gonna put Nerchio way ahead. It's gonna put him miles ahead, and it is, yeah, definitely gonna be a cancel here. No way can TLO prevent this from being cancelled. There is the cancel. There's the drone dying as well. A couple of nice fungals here, but that is all it's doing for TLO, and he may even lose a queen here on high energy. Yes, that is a bunch of transfuses lost just there and then. Meanwhile, the pressure from Nerchio is continuing to mount on. TLO does have some of his own Infestors, but they are all out of fungal energy, so this is all that TLO has right here. All that matters is his Roach count right now, and if I bring up the units tab, you will see that TLO is behind in Roaches in terms of the Roach numbers on the fight. They are pretty even. The Roach upgrades do, though, favor TLO, and that is the big point here, and that is why TLO was able to hold in the end, because he was a couple of Roaches down. It was simply because his Roaches do have that extra +1 attack. As such, they were a little more cost efficient, but despite that hold being successful, oh, a couple of nice Infestor pickups there actually by TLO. I was going to say that Nerchio is still significantly ahead, but that snipe with those Infestors does help to even it out quite a bit. Infestor counts are now even, Roach counts are fairly even, Harvester counts are fairly even, and the main differential between these two players is now that Nerchio is going to have a faster third base because TLO's third base was forced to be cancelled there. As such, Nerchio is still probably slightly ahead after all of that. The upgrades, though, are even on the Roaches now, and they will eventually go into Nerchio's favor, I believe, because I don't think TLO has an upgrade. No, he doesn't. Nerchio has one on the way. We will indeed see the Carapace, too hard to pronounce, on the way for TLO. And meanwhile, we do indeed see the ramp being pressured by Nerchio here. TLO does have quite a decent number of Roaches in defense. The question is his Infestor energy up to par? And oh, this Infestor, if that was sniped, that could have been huge, but the fungal does go up from that Infestor, and suddenly the Roach count of TLO is looking pretty poor as his units are not engaging here. A couple of Roaches, though, have overextended, and as such, they are going to be picked off, and TLO being a little bit sloppy on that engagement, having a couple of Roaches not engaging while the rest were. But in the end, he had the numbers to hold on. His Infestors are on such low health right now, it is ridiculous. Meanwhile, of course, we do see the Overseer of TLO seeing everything of Nerchio's army. And there is this all-important fourth base which Nerchio is constructing, and he knows he has a slight lead, and with a slight lead, he can expand, because really, TLO doesn't have the army to beat Nerchio in a head-on army. Sure, Nerchio cannot break TLO right now, sure, but TLO is going to have an even lower chance of breaking Nerchio, and as such, this expansion is so clever. We do see a Overseer again over TLO's army as well, seeing everything that's going on. And TLO is also getting a fourth base, but again, his bases are going to be a little bit behind all game long. Harvester count's still staying fairly even, so the incomes are not going to be too different at the moment. And the big question is really, I suppose, going to come down to the next few engagements. That's going to be where the match is decided, I feel. And we do see one Roach being sniped here by Nerchio. Meanwhile, TLO is trying to be aggressive here. He is moving in behind this base, trying to snipe as many drones as possible before a big engagement does occur, and he's doing quite well at that. A few have gone down. Infested Terrans are being thrown into the base, but we do see Nerchio going for the flank here. And the flank is not going to go down as TLO is pulling back into position over on the eastern side. And meanwhile, we do see an engagement going to happen. TLO is splitting up his forces, preparing for any sort of battle that does happen. And Nerchio not willing to engage up that ramp against the split-up army of TLO quite wisely. Good positioning here by TLO, despite his army being quite even with that of his opponents. Again, the Infestor count is the all-important thing, and you'll notice that on the field we have 5 for TLO, 7 for Nerchio. Nerchio has slightly higher energy as well, so I believe that in a head-on battle in the open, TLO should be at a disadvantage, but his position is so good here. Meanwhile, TLO is going to lose a few Roaches here, but can there be chain fungals onto these Roaches to kill them? As that would be, that would be really huge. We do need one more fungal on this group of units, and there it goes, but the units have spread out a little bit. Not bad start by TLO, but it means he's low on Infestor energy. One Infestor does go down, another gets fungled here, and the Infested Terrans should be in the favor of Nerchio. Nerchio does have a worse concave, though, than TLO, but TLO appears to be just being crushed through due to those Infestor numbers, due to just a slightly better army. TLO is not completely stuffed yet, though. His supply is slightly ahead of his opponents. He does not have Hydras, which his opponent does have, but TLO does have, if you look at what's in his favor, he does have 7 more Harvesters, and his army-wise, he does have a couple more Roaches as well as the Infestor lead. That is not necessarily the Infestor energy lead, but it is the Infestor lead, and will translate into an energy lead in the very near future. Nerchio, of course, is probably actually slightly behind on energy overall. But the big difference between these two armies is the Hydras, and the Hydras are something which we do have for Nerchio and not for TLO. The upgrades are dead even at this stage, and we do have the engagement starting very well for TLO. The army of Nerchio a little bit too clumped for my liking, and it looks like we do see the flank coming in by TLO as well, but the entire army is not engaging here, and Nerchio appears to be dealing with this quite well, although he is going to lose a chunk of his forces at the base of TLO's natural ramp. and it looks like the army of Nerchio will escape for the most part. A few Hydras are going to die as they are painfully slow, and that is going to start favoring TLO quite heavily. But can Nerchio hold on to this space? It looks like he may be able to, although he has no fungal growth energy at this stage, so he's not going to have an easy time. Although neither is TLO, in that he also lacks fungal energy. So the big question is just going to be Roach versus Roach Hydra, and I don't feel like TLO quite has the numbers to be pushing through here. He cannot quite crush through, and TLO is trying to engage with Infested Terrans here, but it's not going to work. He's going to try and go for the base snipe, it appears. He's going to try and focus down this base, but the fungals do go down from a newly spawned Infestor. TLO not entirely sure what to target, is just going to try and get out of there, but another fungal is going to see a ton of his Roaches pulled off. A couple of Infestors going to be sniped, yes, but TLO has massively overextended his army, and it's going to lose so many Roaches here for so little gain. It is ridiculous, and that is going to put TLO behind on units lost. Meanwhile, he's trying to make the most of it, trying to apply some sort of two-pronged aggression here, but that is not going to happen either, and he is going to be forced away on all fronts. So TLO has just lost his supply lead. It is now just going to be a fairly even game from here on out. Infestor count's fairly even, Roach count's fairly even, but the big difference being that Nerchio has Hydras and TLO does not, putting Nerchio in a slightly stronger army position right now. That one Roach being a bit of a pest over there, not going to cause any sort of significant damage. Over at the natural ramp of TLO, we do see he does have a few Infestors clumped up. Clumped up Infestors are always a bit of a risk against an Infestor opponent in case they do get fungals. But meanwhile, an Infestor of TLO does go down, one fungal does go off though, and this fourth base is in dire straits. It is in jeopardy. TLO gonna have to try and make something happen here, but I don't know what he's gonna be able to do against the bigger army of Nerchio. He's gonna try and push in here. His army is not at the worst spot in terms of size, but the fourth base is going down for sure, and that is gonna put Nerchio miles ahead in a longer game. Meanwhile, of course, we are going to see this big native going down, and the fungals are going to be huge out of both players, everything covered in fungals, but TLO just does not have the Roach count that he needs to deal with both Roaches and Hydras. The Roach counts were even, but the Hydras are the difference, and it looks like, despite the army of Nerchio taking a significant battering, TLO is going to be forced back yet again. Down over at the base of Nerchio, no harassment has occurred. That is only Overlords over there. As such, TLO is in a bit of a tight spot right now. He does have 5 Roaches, which would help a ton, which is sitting out in the middle of the map, which I'm sure he doesn't see right now. That is 10 supply, which is not being used by TLO, and TLO is going to throw out the GG. And I don't know, I feel like he could have held off this attack over here, especially with those Roaches, which he did have in the middle of the map. That could have been big for him if he had those extra few units, but in reality, okay, he's lost his fourth base, he's behind in economy, his army is a bit smaller, Infestor-wise he's ahead, yes, but in order to hold onto this base, it would have taken Transfusers, a ton of Infested Terrans. It would have been hard for TLO. I don't feel like he was completely out of the match yet though, so I feel like perhaps a slightly premature GG. I think it may not have seen the GG if we'd had these Roaches back at base. TLO probably would have tried for defense. It's not the biggest number of Roaches, only 5. But 5 Roaches, but they aren't the army of Nerchio. What? It's 10 plus 6 Hydras? I mean, with that Infestor count, TLO probably could have killed that, so I don't know. TLO does lose the game though. He was certainly significantly behind and was probably going to lose anyway at this stage. The important thing though is that Nerchio is up 1-0 in this best of 3 series, and I'm going to go straight into game number 2 in just a moment. So thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the card.